Welcome to the Nameless.
I was alone in the restaurant that night. The drive-thru headset crackled to life. But there was no car at drive-thru lane. At least that's what I thought. I had been alone for almost 3 hours already. Graveyard shift. Tuesday into Wednesday. The kind of night where even the highway outside seems to forget it exists. The place wasn't fancy, just a standard fast food chain off a service road. Fluorescent lights, faded menu boards, a soda fountain that hissed randomly like it had asthma. My manager had left at 10. The cook called out sick, so it was just me, which wasn't technically allowed, but nobody checks policies at 2:13 a.m. The first crackle came while I was wiping down the counter for the third time. Static. Then a soft exhale through the headset. I straightened up. Welcome to... I paused to clear my throat. It had been quiet too long. Welcome to Maple Street Grill. Go ahead when you're ready. Silence. Not the normal kind. Usually you hear an engine idling. A radio playing. Wind against a window. This was just nothing. I leaned toward the window. The drive-thru lane curved around the building. From my angle, I could see the menu board and the speaker post under a yellow light. No headlights. No car. I adjusted the volume knob. Hello? The static clicked again. Then the line went dead. I told myself it was interference. We'd been having trouble with the headset all month. Rainwater in the wiring or something. That's what maintenance said. I went back to wiping the counter. 30 seconds later, it crackled again. This time, I didn't greet them. I just listened. There it was again. Breathing. Not loud, not exaggerated. Just someone standing close enough to the microphone that I could hear air moving in and out. I pressed the talk button slowly. Sir? The breathing stopped. The silence that followed felt deliberate, like whoever was out there had frozen when I spoke. I walked to the side window and slid it open halfway. Cold air spilled in. The drive-thru lane was empty. Completely empty. I leaned out farther than I needed to. The pavement was dry. No fresh tire tracks in the thin layer of dust that always settled overnight. The bushes along the curb didn't move. The speaker post stood under its yellow bulb. Still. I closed the window and locked it. Probably just radio bleed, I thought. A trucker on a nearby frequency. I told myself that twice. Then I unplugged the headset and set it on the counter. That should have solved it. It didn't. Because a few minutes later, the small green light on the drive-thru console lit up, the vehicle present sensor. We didn't have a fancy camera system, just a pressure sensor under the asphalt that detected weight in the lane. The light meant something was sitting out there. I stared at it. The headset was unplugged. The lane was empty. But the light stayed on. I walked back to the window, opened it again. Nothing. I stepped outside. The cold hit harder this time. The kind that seeps through your shirt immediately. The asphalt looked exactly the same. I walked all the way to the speaker post. No car, no person, no sound except the hum of the building behind me. I crouched and ran my hand over the pavement where the sensor would be. Solid. I even stomped on it. The green light inside turned off. I froze, because that meant it had been on, for something. I walked back inside, locked the door, and stared at the console. It stayed dark. I plugged the headset back in. Static. Then nothing. For a while, everything felt normal again. Too normal. The soda fountain hissed, the freezer compressor kicked on. I told myself I'd imagined the breathing. People hear things when they're tired. At 2:47 a.m., the headset crackled again. This time there was no breathing, just a voice. Flat. "Are you still open?" I almost laughed from relief. "Yes," I said quickly, "we're open." A pause, then, "I can't see you." I blinked. "Sir, I can't see you either."
"Could you pull forward to the window?" "I'm at the window." My stomach tightened, because I was looking at the window, and there was no one there. I turned slowly, scanning the dark glass. Empty. The parking lot beyond it was empty too. "You're not at the window," I said. Another pause. Longer this time. Then, "You just looked at me." The sentence didn't rise or fall. It just existed. I didn't respond. My reflection stared back at me in the glass, pale, slightly distorted by the streetlight outside. "Sir," I tried again, keeping my voice even, "there's no one in the drive-thru." The line went quiet. No click, no static, just gone. I yanked the headset off. My heart was beating harder now. I went to the security monitor behind the counter. It cycled through 4 camera feeds: front counter, kitchen, parking lot, and drive-thru. The drive-thru feed showed the lane under the yellow light. Empty. I watched it for a full minute. Nothing moved. I scrubbed back the recording 10 minutes.
Still empty. The timestamp in the corner blinked 2:49 a.m. Everything looked ordinary. I told myself someone was messing with me, maybe a friend of the manager with access to the radio frequency. But who would do that at 3 in the morning? And how would they trigger the weight sensor? At 3:02 a.m., the green light turned on again. I didn't move this time. I just stared at it. It stayed on for almost a full minute. Then the headset crackled, without me touching it. "I'm not leaving," the voice said. I felt something cold settle behind my ribs. "You need to pull forward," I replied automatically, even though I knew how ridiculous that sounded. "You won't serve me." The sentence wasn't accusatory, just factual. I can't serve someone who isn't there. Another pause. Then, very quietly, "I've been here longer than you." The console light flickered off. I swallowed. I checked the cameras again. Empty lane, empty lot, empty road beyond. The highway looked abandoned. No headlights in either direction. It was like the world outside had stepped back. Around 3:20, the power flickered. Just once. The lights dimmed and returned. The security monitors reset to a default screen I'd never seen before. Not the usual quad view, just a single camera feed, drive-thru. But the angle was different, lower, closer to the ground, as if the camera had been moved. I stepped closer. The timestamp was gone. In its place was a small white label in the corner, Lane 2. We only had one lane. The image showed the asphalt from a position that didn't match any camera we had. The yellow light still glowed overhead, but the speaker post was missing. The menu board was gone. It was just pavement stretching into darkness. And in the center of the frame, there was a shadow, not shaped like a person, not shaped like a car, just a darker patch against the gray. It didn't move. I stared at it for a long time. The headset crackled softly on the counter. I didn't put it on. I didn't need to, because I could hear the breathing without it. Faint, somewhere in the room with me. I turned slowly. The restaurant was empty. The tables were stacked. The chairs were flipped upside down. The soda fountain hissed again. The breathing stopped. The security monitor blinked back to the normal quad view. Drive-thru empty, parking lot empty. Everything back to the way it should be. At 3:45 a.m., I locked the front doors, even though we weren't supposed to. I turned off the drive-thru system entirely, unplugged it from the wall. The green light stayed off. The rest of the shift passed in a blur. No more voices, no more sensor triggers, just silence. At 5:58 a.m., the morning manager walked in. I must have looked strange because she stopped mid-step. "You okay?" "Did anyone come through last night?" I asked. She frowned. "We close at midnight on Tuesdays." I blinked. "No, we don't." "Yes, we do." She walked behind the counter and checked the register. It showed 0 sales after 11:58 p.m. I stared at the screen. "That's not right," I said. "I clocked in at 10. She looked at me. "You weren't scheduled." I laughed. "Yes, I was." She turned the schedule binder around. Tuesday night was blank. No names, just an empty space. I felt that cold feeling again. "You told me to cover," I said. "I wasn't even here yesterday," she replied. "I had the day off." I didn't argue. I went to the back office and checked the time clock system. My punch-in from the night before wasn't there. No record of me being in the building. I checked the security footage from 2 to 4 a.m. The drive-through lane was empty the entire time. The dining room cameras showed darkness, lights off, chairs down, no one inside. At 2:13 a.m., according to the footage, the restaurant was closed and unoccupied. There was no version of me wiping counters, no image of me stepping outside, nothing. I watched the timestamp tick past 3:02, 3:20, 3:45. The building remained dark. The morning manager knocked on the office door. "You're kind of freaking me out," she said. I asked her one last question. "How long has this location been open?" She hesitated. "It hasn't." I stared at her. "This building's been empty for years," she said carefully. "Corporate never finished construction." I stepped past her and out into the dining room. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. The counters were clean. The soda fountain gleamed. But something felt thinner, like a set piece. I walked to the front doors and looked at the road. The sign outside wasn't Maple Street Grill. It was just a blank panel. No logo, no hours, nothing. I turned back. The menu boards above the counter were dark, completely dark. No prices, no items, just black screens. I looked at my hands. They were trembling. I pulled out my phone. No signal, no service. The time read 2:13 a.m. I glanced up at the wall clock. It said 6:07 a.m. I blinked. My phone still read 2:13. The same minute the headset first crackled. I don't remember leaving the building. I don't remember driving home. I only know that when I woke up in my apartment later, my uniform was gone. I didn't own a Maple Street Grill uniform. I've tried to find the place since then. The service road exists, the highway exists, but where the restaurant should be, there's an empty lot. No foundation, no broken asphalt, just dirt and weeds. I asked around town. Nobody remembers a fast food place there. No job listing, no record, no photos online. The address doesn't exist. I still have the headset. I don't remember bringing it home. It sits in my closet, unplugged. Sometimes, late at night, I take it out and hold it to my ear, just to check. I haven't heard the breathing again, but every once in a while, very faintly, I hear a flat voice say, "I'm still here." And the part that keeps me up isn't wondering what was in that drive-through lane. It's wondering why I was.